Good evening, everybody. It is so wonderful to be here in Sugarland, Missouri City, on an undisclosed location, and to share a little thought of Torah with our friends online. In this week's Parsha, Parshas Mattos, we have the incredible teachings of the laws of vows and oaths that people would take in their regular lives, and how they're held accountable for those oaths. What we see also is a very interesting idea that if someone were to say about anything that they own, that Harei zo hekdesh, that this is to be made holy, right? This should be for the temple, then it immediately undertakes a status of holiness and is no longer theirs. So if someone was to just have their backpack, and they say Harei zo hekdesh, this is to go to hekdesh, meaning to the kodesh, to the temple, it becomes immediately the property of the temple. And we see many different examples of how this is, how serious this is, and how serious it is, the words that come out of our mouths, the words that we speak, and I think just as equally the words that we write. You know, those of you who are following current events, there was a very, very long hearing today in Capitol Hill about what an individual wrote in his private text messages. And it's phenomenal to see the accountability that one should be held accountable for the words that they speak. Not only in writing, in ordinary things, but also the things we speak about other people have a very, very powerful impact and can really change someone's life in a very, very negative way, both for the speaker and for the person being spoken about. So I wanted to share a little idea here on this. You know, Lashon Hara, speaking negatively, it does not only apply when we're speaking to another person face to face. When we speak Lashon Hara, we speak negatively, slanderously about another person, that applies whether or not the person is living or not, whether or not the person is someone we know. By the way, just as a side note, it is Lashon Hara. It is a it's a prohibition in the Torah to speak negatively about someone else. If it's true, it's Lashon Hara. If it's not true, it's a different biblical sin. You're not allowed to lie about someone else, right? But either way, speaking about another person is very, very dangerous, not only for the person you're speaking about, but also for the person who's speaking. Because the person who's speaking, and certainly, by the way, the halacha puts an extra precaution, not only the person speaking, the person is speaking about, but also the person listening. If you listen to someone speaking about someone else, and you're perfectly fine with it, or you encourage it, and you're like, yeah, right on, then you're encouraging someone to commit a biblical prohibition. And the halacha puts a tremendous responsibility on the person who is listening to this Lashon Hara, who's, by listening to it and not reprimanding them for saying things, you know, you could say, but you know, my brother mentioned something recently that's very, very interesting. There's only one part of the body that all of the medical world has no idea what it's for. One part of the body, and that is the earlobe. There's no medical reason, nobody can figure out why we have an earlobe. And yet if you look in the Talmud, there's only one body part that the Talmud tells you what it's there for. And that is the earlobe. And that is that when someone speaks Lashon Hara, you can take it to cover your ear and not listen. That's what the Talmud tells us. That's the responsibility of the person hearing it. The person who hears Lashon Hara, the person who is listening to someone else speak negatively, is held accountable. And it's a very dangerous thing for us to allow people to speak negatively around us. It's a very beautiful thing when people have a low tolerance for Lashon Hara around them. Whether it's from parents or from children or from a spouse or from siblings or from in the coffee room at your company, you talk about this and you talk about that. Did you hear what they're wearing? Did you see what they're driving? Did you see? People like to talk about other people, and it's a very terrible habit. In this week's Parsha, we see the power of speech, where you can take something ordinary like a bottle of water and say Harezo Hegdish, and it's no longer yours. And if I were to drink from it, even if you were to drink from it, even after saying it, you'd be stealing from the temple. There's a power to our words. And I think that we're living in a generation that is a little bit more lax, now more than almost ever. If I write in a newspaper, then I can write whatever I want. If I write it in a blog online, I can write whatever I want. And if I write it in my own personal, chat message, personal, message, then it's also fine. And I think what we find from the Torah is that the importance of speaking in a careful and measured way applies in every area of speech, every form of communication, not only one which is with our mouth, but also what we call today with our fingers, the way we type and what we say, and what we write about. So Hashem should help us and protect us, that we should always be among those who share good news and only good news to all those around us and to everybody. If we have to speak about someone, we should only speak good things about them. With that, my friends, thank you so much for joining us online. You're welcome to visit our website and to learn more about our programs that we have here in Sugar Land, Missouri City, and our programs all around Houston. And thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful Shabbat, everybody.